All right, do you think we're ready there, Jenny?
I do. Let's get going.
All right. Well, I want to welcome everyone. And before we start our annual meeting, I would ask you that you mute your mic and wait until we get to the Q&A section with any questions that you may have. Well, thank you. Welcome to our third annual meeting. Thank you for joining us today. What a crazy year 2021 with COVID-19 having an impact on nearly everything we did last year. We ended the year with the wettest December on the books of our area, and then saw some of the lowest rains totals ever for January and February, with a recent snowfall in the community, which was kind of fun to see. I'd like to thank the community for its awesome support in both the form of financial donations and volunteer activities to complete roadside maintenance, chipping, clearing, burning. The Met volunteers racked up a stunning number of hours in 2021. Upcoming in today's meeting are reports from David Dellinger, the Mountain Ember team treasurer, Jenny Van Setters, our marketing and membership officer, and Phil Seymour, co-chair of the community defense team. On the agenda today is going to be the president's report, our plans for, can you go back one slide, Jenny?
Yep.
Thanks. Our plans for 2022, our budget for 2022, the membership report for 2022. Phil's going to talk a bit about the defense team report. And then if there's any members of the community that have some questions, we will take them near the end of the meeting. And that's it. Next, please. So here's your board of directors for this year. It's a motley looking crew, especially the guy in the middle. But I want to thank each and every one of them for the absolute awesome work that they did in the past year. Dennis did a great job starting at the beginning of the year being president. David is just stellar with the numbers, and we're in the black, we're not in the red, and we're not in jail, so that's a good thing. We got Linda, who's the secretary, Carla, director, Fraser, who's our newest director this year, Lane Clark, Al Flink, and Jenny Van Setters, our director of marketing and membership coordinator, and then Phil Seymour, who's the community defense team co-chair, along with myself. So this year saw some change in the board itself. In February of 2021, the membership elected Fraser Kersey to the board, and I assumed the role of president, and Dennis Clegg took over vice presidential responsibilities. Mid-year, with a goal of equalizing responsibilities among board members and increasing our efficiency, we broke the secretary's role into 3 separate positions, with Jenny becoming our membership and marketing officer, Linda Murphy, who took over as secretary and keeper of all documents, and she does an excellent job for that, and I want to thank her very much for all her time that she's done that. And then we created a paid position to help take notes during our meetings, and that was Bree Norberg, and she did an excellent job, took copious amounts of notes. So they are all available to anyone who wants to see them on our website. And unfortunately, Bree has to step down, so we're looking for someone to fill into that position. It's a paid position. It's $15 an hour, and it's about 4 hours a month. And if you're interested in doing that, please reach out to Jenny, and she will give you a brief overview of what is responsible, what your responsibilities would be. And then in our other changes in our future is our wonderful, awesome secretary, Linda, is retiring from the board, and we will hopefully fill her seat on the elections that will be on Saturday. And this is being pre-recorded, so it's actually Thursday night, but we will be at the Constance's Lower Yard at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning for anyone who hasn't voted to bring their ballots to us there. And then at 10 o'clock, we'll be counting the ballots, and then we'll be able to tell the community who is taking over as secretary and the other offices. And I, after 10 years of donated time and involvement with the community, I'm stepping down as president of the Met board in order to make some more time for myself and my family, but I will continue on the board and being hopefully co-chair with Phil Seymour for the community defense team. And I have valued my time with this organization and will continue to support it in every which way I can, except as president. So we received, we acquired equipment, retrieved equipment, and we got some project funding this past year. We were successful in our efforts to retrieve some radios and hoses that had been donated to the Guadalupe Firefighter Association by the former Penny Cave Volunteer Fire Department. It's Captain Schmitz of Guadalupe. He was paramount in talking to their board of directors to try and get this stuff back to us. And there are still more things that he's trying to get to us. But for now, radio equipment and hose is very, very important for us to do or to need. In late 2020, the Mountain Ember team secured a grant in the amount of $2,639.83 from the Santa Barbara County Air Pollution Control District. But we did not receive that money until May of 2021, when it was used to purchase the electric tools that we use for roadside mitigation. We gave up a lot of our gas powered tools. They bought those back from us for a small amount of money. And I think you've all heard that Governor Newsom has basically outlawed all small gas powered tools. And we're interested in how that's going to work for gas powered generators and pumps in the future. And then a huge, huge thanks goes out to Dennis Clegg. He wrote for and received a CAL FIRE grant in the amount of $12,964 to support specific projects over a 3-year period from January of this year to March of 2024 in 3 major areas, including weed abatement, the elimination of ladder fuels, and chipping brush. Great job, Dennis, and on behalf of the community, I thank you. We were amazed, considering in the previous forum of us, the person said that nobody could write grants, and we got 3 grants this past year. So good job for everyone who did that. We got to put Patrol 2 to use this year. We had a disaster. One of our neighbors' car caught on fire down by 2550 Painted Cave Road. I happened to be at my shop down there, which is on Ann and Al's property. The call went out. Patrol 2 was at the top of the driveway. I was on scene within 5 minutes and had the fire out before county arrived approximately 20 minutes later. And the fire was out. They popped the hood and turned their hose on for 5 seconds so that they could say that they put the fire out. Oh, well, it doesn't matter who put it out as long as it got out, and we saved the mountain. Another thing that we use in our group is Intelligent. That's something that Jenny found back in the day. They're a wonderful organization to work with. It's usually a paid app, but they have donated to us, and we used it many, many times this year to alert the community about road closures, drift smoke. So people, when they smell the smoke, we could say, hey, no, it's just drifting from another fire in Northern California or wherever it happened to be. And any fires that we may have seen. So we are truly grateful for the generous donation of the Intelligent Services to the Met. And if you don't have the app, it's a free app to download, and Jenny can explain this better, but it's geo-fenced. So it's just basically in our area that it lets us know what's going on. Although I think if we were to put something out, Dennis would probably get a notification in Colorado. So then we went, one of the grants we got was a grant from the Santa Barbara Foundation. And thanks to Lauren Winwesser and Chloe Kirk for writing that grant. We got a $5,000 grant, and specifically for the purpose of doing strategic planning. The Mountain Ember team board for the past 3 years has been trying to come up with what we need to do, what apparatus do we need, how do we get this part, how do we get that part. And so we hired Barbara Anderson from, hang on the paperwork here, Firewire, Aware and Prepare organization. And she sat down with all the board members on an individual basis, did interviews, asked us all about what we thought was important to the Mountain Ember team, what we thought was important to the mountain, what direction do we want to go to, where do we want to be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And it was to me, it was very educational and eye-opening, because the way she approached us and the questions she asked is not a way that I would have even gone to figure all this out. So then after she interviewed all the board members, the board had a retreat at, is it Friendship House Lane? Is that the correct name for it?
The Santa Barbara Friends Meeting.
Santa Barbara Friends Meeting, who graciously donated their meeting room for the board members who went there to have the meeting. And she came up with a brief overview as to what we're going to do. And she's going to continue interviewing people outside of the board to try and get more of an idea what the community would like, and also to give us direction on how to A, raise money, B, other agencies that we can get with to work hand in hand to make our community a better, safer, well-prepared community that we are. So she's going to draft the strategic plan that's going to identify all those goals and financial milestones. And when she has done that, we will, as a board, bring that back to the community and let you all know where we hope to be in 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. Hopefully we're still all going to be here. And thank the volunteers. The volunteers of this community have just stepped up to the plate in a huge, huge way. You can see the list of them there. I'm not going to go through all the names, but those are all your neighbors and who get out on Saturdays and Sundays and sometimes during the week to either do chipping, brush clearing, weed whipping, trash pickup. And without you volunteers, the 8 of us on the 9 of us on the board, you know, we couldn't do any of this stuff. So a great big heartfelt thanks to all the community members who get up early Saturday morning and come out and get hot and sweaty and dirty and help us keep our roads safe and clear. And then, but not only without our volunteers would we not succeed, we wouldn't succeed without our donors. And we had 59 donations last year that totaled over close to $18,000. And these are all the people who donated money. And without them, we wouldn't have insurance for the trucks. We wouldn't have firefighting capability in the fiberglass boxes that we have around the community that have hose and pumps and PPE, et cetera, et cetera. And without their dedication and openness to help out and reach out to help us, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So again, thanks to these volunteers and donors and to all the MET members for your continued commitment, trust, and faith. On behalf of the board, we're grateful for your support, input, and involvement. And without your support and involvement, we would not have achieved the goals that we have. And again, thank you very, very much on behalf of the board for helping us do. So our 2022 proposed goals and priorities. We hope to establish and implement a long-range strategic plan, and that's going to be coming from Barbara Anderson. So this is a work in progress. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while to get everything together. We're trying to come up with a way that we can partner with the mutual water company to be sure that in the event of a fire, et cetera, that we have adequate supply of water and pressure at the fire hydrants. And so it's going to take another while to get all that together. And then Barbara wants us to establish, or I think Phil Seymour is another one who wants us to form a relationship with the Firewise program through Santa Barbara Fire Council, Safe Council. And that'll help us to raise money and to hopefully help with fire insurance policies. We need to work with Santa Barbara County sheriffs and CHP to further assess evacuation route safety. We have an evacuation plan that comes up later in the slide deck here, but we can't, as the Met, can't tell you how to get out of here. We can tell you what you should do to get ready to go, but it's going to be either Santa Barbara County Sheriff or the CHP who will tell you when the time comes that you're either going to go down Panda Cave Road or up Panda Cave Road or across East Yellow. But we're going to try and work with them and have them come up and talk to us as a group and explain how they come to their decisions for that. We also want to get our information out to you as the community the best way we can. We use email, we use bulletin board postings. We have the website, mountainamberteam.com, that our monthly calendar is there. It talks about the projects that we're doing. And if you want to get involved, that's where I would recommend that you go. And then once Barbara Anderson has told us what the board wants to do in regards to using money, we do have a Mountain Ember Team fundraising committee who will then take that bull by the horns and hopefully get us on the ground running as soon as we can. And then to improve board meeting efficiency, well, you got me rambling on here. It's just to provide a stable environment for discussion and debate on the issues that we have under consideration, and to be respectful of each other, and to try and get as much done in as little time as we can without taking too much time away from the people in the community. Board meetings are boring, and that's why we have 2 guests. But so we're looking forward to another fantastic year and hopefully a safe and healthy one. I think this is where I'm going to turn over the floor to David Dellinger, who's the master of money. And David, it's all yours.
Thank you, Nick. So first I'll talk about 2021 very briefly. We had, as Nick said, a total of $17,758 and change of donations. We had 2 grants that he talked about, totaling about $7,600, the Aware and Prepare, or the Santa Barbara Foundation grant, and the Santa Barbara Air Pollution Control District LEAF program grant. We got about $2,400 in dues, and then so total income was $27,800. We spent about $5,800 on capital things, and that largely was the electric weed whipping and roadside clearance equipment, plus a few large gasoline powered things, I believe, plus about $1,500 for the storage boxes that the ground defense stores their stuff in. There were $11,400 in program expenses, about $800 for radios, about $900 for repairs and supplies to support both the ground defense and the vegetation management, and around $8,000 on ground defense equipment. And then management general expenses, most of that, well, a lot of that was the Wear and Prepare grant, $2,500. Some of it was secretarial support. About $3,500 was for various kinds of insurance, and about $500 was IT expenses, website and other things. And then the balance was just miscellaneous office stuff and fees paid to the government. So the total expenses were $26,300, about $1,000 less than the income. Next. So at the end of the year, we had $11,686. About $5,600 was in unrestricted operating funds. We can spend that any way we want. The rest of it were in restricted funds. That's funds that people gave us earmarked for particular purposes. So $730 for chipping, $800 for the equipment at the Ogram Alta end of the community, where that was to fund their ground defense box. $2,520 remains for the strategic plan, from the strategic planning grant to finish paying Barbara Anderson and Wear and Prepare, and $2,000 was given specifically to fund the CDT. So that all adds up, as I said, to 11,686.21. Next. So now I'm going to talk about 2022. First, I'll just start with where we are right now. We started the year with 11,686.21, as I said. Next. Since then, we've gotten $4,725. That's $1,580 from donations and $31.45 from dues. Next. We've spent $763. A lot of that was a donation to the WRA for the use of their chipper. The rest, miscellaneous expenses. And so our balance at the moment, next, is $15,650 basically. Next. There's been a little change in these internal accounts that the donation to the WRA plus what we spent on chipping last Saturday has brought our chipping balance down from $730 to $145. And all of the membership dues plus this unrestricted donation has lifted our operating expense account from 5,600 to a little over 10,000. Next. So I'm going to talk about the budget for the rest of the year in two ways. Actually, first I'm going to say that the budget is very provisional at this time. Since we haven't finished the strategic planning work, we don't really know how we want to spend money, what we want to spend it on, how we want to raise it. But we have taken the previous year's budget plus what we've got from the CAL FIRE grant and made up a budget that will change once we get more information from Barbara Anderson. And so that said, we'll talk about two things. First, where the money is coming from, and then after that, where we plan to spend it. And then at the end, how those things balance. So we have three basic funding sources: membership dues, donations, and grants. At this point, we've received $31.45 in dues. We've received $1,580 in donations. And we have this CAL FIRE grant that will provide us over 3 years, $12,964. The CAL FIRE grant, there are two things to say about it. One is that it's not a grant where they give us money and then we spend it. It's a grant where they give us the promise to reimburse us for the things that we ask for. So we'll spend the money and then submit the paperwork and then get reimbursed sort of an item at a time. So that $8,335 is not in our bank account right now. And the other thing to say about it is that it's over 3 years. We plan to spend the bulk of the money this year on equipment, and then the rest of the money will be spread out to cover things that they call overhead, but basically it's things like insurance that we have to do this work. It's maintenance, it's supplies other than the basic equipment. So that's how the CAL FIRE grant thing works. So it's available money, but we don't have it yet. So taken all together, you take the current amounts, $31.45, $1,580, and $83.35. That totals a little over $13,000 that we expect to get, or rather we know we'll get because we already have it. If we get the additional donations that we expect, or additional dues, excuse me, that we expect, because people continue to join throughout the year, plus another close to $12,000 is our very gross estimate of how much we'll get in donations. We probably will get somewhere about $24,000 in total, or have that available. So that's where the money is coming from. Next. Now I'll talk about where it's going. First, just to say something about our budget. I'm going to talk about 7 big areas where we're spending money and give you totals for those. But for one of them, this one, vegetation management, I'll show a little more detail just so you see how the budget works. Then I won't talk about the details for everything else. Vegetation management, we have 4 sort of active line items totaling $8,456.50. You'll see that number on the next slide. We've spent $650 so far and have about $7,800 left to spend. So next. So each line item actually has a number associated with it, equipment and supplies, except for the chipper, 6,464, 325 for fuel and so on. Next. I just show the details for these two numbers. Next slide. So for the top number, that's a number for the line item, and then these are all the items in it. You'll notice that most of them at the top are small, and then the large items are all things that are reimbursable from the CAL FIRE grant. Chipper fuel, likewise, is broken into two categories, and it's also going to be reimbursable from that grant. So in general, every big group level budget item, I'm going to say, has line item numbers and then has all these details underneath it. Next. So now I'll talk about them one at a time. Our vehicles, we expect to spend $7,700. We spent $61 so far. Most of $5,600 is for insurance. The rest is for maintenance and repairs. Next. The community defense team, the ground defense part of that, we have $2,800 allocated to the CDT altogether, but since the vegetation management part is being so well supported by the CAL FIRE grant, I'm assuming we'll spend most of the $2,800 in restricted donations we have on the ground defense program. We haven't spent any yet, though. Next. We already talked about vegetation management, showed you the details, but 8456 is what we expect to spend. Most of that, as you see, 7690 is from this CAL FIRE grant. We spent 650.22 so far, and that's 7,800 remaining. Next. The administrative outreach and communications budget totals 4451. More than half of that is the grant we got, 2520, that we'll pay to Barbara Anderson and Aware and Prepare. Secretary support services have $900 left in it. Website's about $350. And all the balance is everything else, $50 for government filing fees. I think it's about $300 for postage and so on. Next. We don't have anything in the budget yet for radios. We spent $800 last year, but I expect that we will, when we revise this budget, we probably will include more communications equipment in the budget. Next. So at the top here, the last of the big group items is insurance, other than automotive insurance. We have $1,675 projected to spend, which is the total of the premiums for our directors and officers, general liability and professional liability insurance policies. And we haven't paid any of that because none of them are due. Next. So altogether, we expect to spend about $25,150 this year. We spent $763, and we've got $24,400 left. Next. So how does this all compare? I talked about income at the beginning. We have a pretty arbitrary idea that we should keep about $2,500 in reserve and not spend our account down below that. So if we take what we've got, which is about $15,600, and subtract $2,500 from it, you get $13,148.16. So that's what we've got. We expect another next $590 in dues, hopefully another $10,200 or so in donations, although that could be any number from 0 to 20,000. We've already got this grant that we can spend $83.35. That's what we plan to spend this year. We could spend more or less, as long as we hopefully will make use of all of it in our 3 years. So the available funds we've got is something like $32,300, which next is considerably more than what we've laid out so far, $24,400. It's almost $8,000 more. Next. However, if you don't just count on what we expect and hope for, and take what we've got $13,150, and we know we've got at least this amount available from CAL FIRE, which adds up to next $21,483, which is about $3,000 less than this. So we do need, hopefully from donations, but if not that, additional membership or additional grants to cover what we've just laid out in this budget without even adding on any of the things for the that will come from the strategic planning process. We're about $3,000 short. So next, the last thing I'll say here is just that we expect to get somewhere between 21.5 and 32.5. Hopefully it'll be on the higher end and we'll have some excess to cover the things that we would like to do. And I believe that's it. Next slide. Yep. I am done. Thank you.
Thanks, David. There's only one correction that I noticed on that. Jenny, if you could go back a slide.
Yeah.
You have it listed as the total 2021 projected amount.
Oh.
It should be, shouldn't that be 2022 projected amount?
It certainly should. Thank you,
Okay.
Nick.
Okay, thank you. And what an awesome report. There shouldn't be too many questions out there for that. So now we're going to turn over to Jenny Van Setters to tell us all about these awesome.
Thank you, Nick. So the membership report's very short and sweet. We did our very first outreach direct mail this year by printing postcards. We designed them in-house. I do design for a living, so I was able to provide that service and reduce any kind of costs associated with graphic design services. And we were then able to collect the addresses for all of the residents or properties associated within our geographic membership area. And that was a big feat in itself, just to be able to put that list together and then send out our first official membership direct mail piece to just remind people that we exist, or to encourage them to renew if they do know about us. And just to remind them in general that we are here as an organization to support this community and make it safer, and we need all hands on deck. So it was a great effort to get this out in late December or mid-December to kick off our membership drive in January of 2022. And it resulted in some really great renewals and new memberships. We have a brand new, 11 brand new members and 80 renewals. It's a really great outcome in the first 2 months of the year, which has brought us to a total of 91 members as of today. I actually believe there's a couple more in the mailbox waiting to be processed. So this number will start to tick up tomorrow when we check the mailbox out. And so the breakdown of the membership this year compared to last year is just always nice to see how we're tracking. For this year, we have a total of 36 household memberships. Household memberships include 2 people. So that is 72 members compared to the end of the year, leaving the year in December 2021 at 37 household memberships, which was 74. So we're very close there, and we're only 2 months into the year. And then we have about 19 individual memberships at the moment, compared to last year at the end of the year, 21 individual memberships. So leaving last year, we had 95 members, but at this time, at the elections time, we had 90 members. And this year we are at 91, which I'm quite positive will be 93 tomorrow morning when we open the mailbox. So the attrition rate, we also like to look at the members that did not renew and to kind of just track that and see what's going on there. Occasionally someone will move outside of the membership area, which no longer allows them to be a member. So we did have one person move that was a member. And then we have 13 that did not renew. And I always say yet, because we are on mountain time up here, and sometimes people take a little longer to do some of these day-to-day tasks. I do have a lot of confidence that this number will click down in the next month, a couple of weeks to a couple of months. And that is it. So if there's any questions about the membership, I'm here and available for questions at the end, or you can always reach out to us at info@mountainamberteam.com. I'm going to turn it over now to Phil Seymour, our CDT co-chair, and Nick Proctor to tell us about what the community defense team has been up to.
Okay, Phil, you're on deck. Phil. Phil. Okay, so the community defense team is focused on basically doing whatever we can to eliminate and mitigate fuels and possible fire hazards. So the vegetation management is part of the side that I'm on. No, that's the side that Phil's on, reducing fire fuels in and around our residential areas. Phil takes a crew of people and has been going up to the north side of the community, doing a lot of fuel thinning and brush burning to reduce the fuel loads up there. I take with Michael Miller's help and stuff, I take crew down Panda Cave Road. We do weed whipping, brush clearing for not only for fuel loads, but also to help visibility on some of the corners, because I know y'all driving on Panda Cave Road, some corners you can't see because the sumac and stuff is and the bay is blocking your view, so we try to reduce those. And then the ground defense, that's the training and preparation of and equipment community members who will stay to defend the community. So that's where we are training with we take people out, we go over the patrol trucks with them. We have a lot of people who can actually drive the patrol trucks, know how to operate them. And that's how, for example, the car fire that we had last year, that's how that was taken care of. So we have a patrol truck that's in the heart of our community, and then we have a patrol truck that's down the lower community. And so that's the two sides of the CDT. Next, if there's no other slide.
Phil, are you on yet?
The screen is doing something I've never seen before. So I can't see the the slides. I can't see myself, but apparently I'm still here. So I think what I'm going to do is exit and try and reconnect and undo whatever weird thing happened here. So why don't you continue, Nick? I'm sorry, but this is some total weirdness.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, though. So the ground defense, we've learned from historically that a lot of professional fire services are, if they do arrive, they're going to arrive late. The cave fire is a fine example. We had people there within 2 or 3 minutes, and it took county 20, 25 minutes to get there, but we couldn't do anything because of the size of the fire. But we can be here. We deployed 3,000 feet of hose for the cave fire. People were trained, we stuck by. So that's why we're coming up with the Ember stations that have hose and appliances. And by appliances, I mean nozzles and gated wires, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the people that have been trained to know that's where they go, and this is how we use it and deploy it and be ready. The mobile response is the 2 patrol trucks, Patrol 1, which is the ex Montecito fire brush truck, which is in the community, and then Patrol 2, which is down on Ann and Al's property. And then the personnel that have been trained on how to use this stuff. And we try to train them to be fire aware, to fire weather, what's going on, what to look for, and be prepared for embers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the mobile response. Next.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. So you're up on Ember stations, Phil. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have no idea what happened. Sorry, it did. Anyway, our defense strategy for the central community is based on the Ember Station concept, which was kind of hatched by Bud and Nick a while back. But the idea is we have people who are going to stay in the community. We are going to supply them with hose, nozzles, the other equipment they would need to put out fires around their house and then their neighbors' houses. So we have currently 10 Ember stations. We have one more. I think we need to expand, and most of them are, adequately equipped now, but we want to add to that this coming year. So we're sure we can reach every house and every backyard in the community. That's the long range plan. In some cases, we're going to need to supply pumps. In most cases, we're collaborating with people who already have their own pumps and a water supply and some of their own equipment. Okay, this year we added a new station on Rim. We added a new station on the West Lookout and a station on Glen Road. And the Glen Road one needs considerable expansion, but fortunately we have 2 new members that have signed up for the CDT in the past year, and it's now fully worth giving them everything they need to defend that block. Okay. Future plans, we want to start building some redundancy in the system. So if a hose breaks, people don't have to run to the next block to try and find a replacement. If they need to make a change in connections, they can reach into a pack that they carry on their back to have the right fittings to make that work, and not have not have to run back halfway down the block to find the things they need. We also want to improve security with locks on a thing, ensure everyone's up to speed on radio communications. Part of the training will be, helping with vegetation management, live burning. We're hoping to do some this Saturday and continuing for as long as we can this season, which if we're lucky, we'll get into April. If it doesn't rain, we may be winding up sometime in March. So we had a big influx of new energy last year, 9 new members. They're going to complete training when we do our final initiation training session probably in early April. And that's a big shot in the arm. It gives us a lot more confidence. We'll be able to cover all the territory, and if we're lucky, we won't lose a single home when we have a big fire. If it comes, we hope it doesn't come, but we have to assume that someday it will. Next slide. Okay, chipping is part of our strategy for keeping the amount of flammable vegetation down in the community, and this is where we assist individual homeowners dispose of the brush they've cut, so they don't have to leave it stacked up in their front yard forever. When we cut brush on the fuel breaks and it's close enough to a road, we also chip it as opposed to burn it. We did averaged every other month last year. As need arises, we can step that up to monthly chipping days. That was, as you can see, we did 70 brush piles last year and over 200 volunteer hours. And I think the credit for running that operation goes to Lane and Nick, especially Nick, who not only brings the chipper up on most days, but actually keeps it running, because occasionally it fails to cooperate completely. But we have other people that do that now too. Last time Alan was in charge of that operation. Next slide. Okay, fuel breaks. That is our big strategy for when we have the major fire. What we want to do with the fuel breaks is reduce the intensity of fire that actually gets into the community down to something we can handle with our hoses and our Ember stations and our homeowners that are staying behind. Focus has been on the north side fuel break. This is mostly Ted Adams' property, a little bit onto Laurel Springs Ranch and Wainwright's property. And that addresses our primary threat, which is a sundowner driven fire coming from, likely to start along East Camino Cielo Road. We may actually complete that work this year if we're lucky with the burning. We do have a south side fuel break, which protects us from the fire coming uphill. And fires like to burn uphill, not downhill. And that work is being done for us by the county fire. And they're supposed to complete burning this stuff they've cut down there and over the last 2 years this March. course, they've been putting it off for a while, so we'll see if that happens. You know, we have people out there cutting, we have people out there doing the burning. We had 275 volunteer hours on the fuel break work and also on the roadside maintenance work, which is, you know, that's whipping, cutting down the grass, dried grass, and, you know, light fuels along the roadside. And the primary goal of that is to stop a fire from starting, you know, from sparks from a vehicle or a careless smoker or something like that. But we also augment that, and we'll be doing more work this year to kind of clear out some of the additional brush along the roadsides just to make it a little safer for evacuating down Painting Cave Road if we ever need to do that. Next slide. Okay, talked about roadside clearing. We do this with the blessings of the County Road Department and also County Fire indirectly. We have a cooperative agreement with them, which is up for renewal this year. In the long term, we may be able to tap into a regional program for roadside clearance, but that's a few years down the line. So right now, it's you know, it remains on us if we want to protect the community from fires that start along Painting Cave Road to continue doing that work. And you can see some of the smiling guys that have, you know, been instrumental in making sure that this actually happens every year. Those are the mugs on the right. And incidentally, we have, you know, both Inmet and other community citizens who do trash cleanup, which is greatly appreciated, and, you know, actually, you know, helps keep the fire start potential down also. Next slide. Okay. We want to continue what we have been doing. Here's your bullet list of particular things we're planning, and hope to either continue to or expand our existing capabilities. We want to heighten the level of organization with designating block captains and having more regular drills of, you know, people. The Ember stations are sort of grouped together by blocks for administrative and tactical purposes. So we want to continue to strengthen that system. And if we can add some new people this year, I hope we're able to do that. There is a lot of money potentially becoming available and a great deal of effort at the state level to provide resources for people hardening their homes, doing things so that a house is less likely to catch fire and burn down in a big fire. We are going to need to tap into these regional programs to do that, which means connecting with Fire Safe Council, of which I'm a board member, and regional wildfire mitigation program that's being developed for our area. So it won't be just us anymore if we're successful in doing this and decide to go ahead. And maybe we can get some of our senior citizens who are now out there weed whacking, give them a little break. And we also, final item, you know, for a long time, we've sort of had plans that exist primarily in people's heads. We want to get those on paper and make sure everyone, you know, has that, you know, firmly embedded when the big fire comes and we're all working together as a team. Next slide. And that's it.
Thanks, Phil. That was a great report. And I guess we are at the question part of this. But before we do the questions, I want to thank Ina Britton for joining us tonight. And I don't know who Dan Wodmat is, and I don't know who Uncom is. But thank you very much for being here. And does anyone have any questions that they would like to address to the board? Okay. So Mountain Ember Team Board, we hold monthly meetings via Zoom. Hopefully we can get away from Zoom and start getting back into personal things, because I think that's much nicer. All the minutes are posted on the Met website, which is mountainamberteam.com, as well as this recording, which I think is going to be uploaded to YouTube, and Jenny is going to send out that link to the whole community. And we always, always, always welcome input and criticism and involvement from the Mountain Ember Team community. We know we're not a perfect family up here, and we all have things that bug us or antagonize us or we're happy about. And so we like criticism, both good and bad, as the board. And I think without that, we become stagnant. And I think that the more that the members of the community can feel free to speak to any member of the board, which is the policy, you can approach any board member at all and direct questions to them. And if they don't have the answer, they will bring it to the meeting, or they will call the other board members, or they will come back with an answer. We're not going to leave any question unanswered if we can absolutely help it at all. I want to thank everyone who's here tonight. I really want to, thank you, Jenny. Evacuation guide. Again, this is a guide. We cannot tell you which way to go when the evacuation happens. That's going to be Santa Barbara County Sheriff or the CHP. And if neither one of those, it'll be County Fire or whoever the agency is in the lead of the incident. They will tell you which way to go. But in this guide, it tells you things that you should prepare for, have things packed regarding pets, documents, drugs. If you happen to have $3 million buried in your basement, you may want to take that with you. But Jenny has lots of copies of that. Also, if you need a new decal for your car, because Jenny says hers are fading, she also has more of those. We also have Mountain Ember Team t-shirts available. If you don't have one, they're out there for sale too. And I just remembered that, and that's why there's not going to be a slide board. I apologize for that. Next. So the next board meeting is March 16th at 6 o'clock. I don't know what the makeup of the board's going to be then, because we have the elections on Saturday, and as long as we have a quorum, some positions may change. I know that Linda's not going to be here as secretary. I'm stepping down as president, so you're going to have a new president, you're going to have a new secretary, but that doesn't disqualify you for not coming to the meeting. So March 16th at 6 p.m. There will be a link on the mountainamberteam.com website that will have the link to the Zoom. And next. So on behalf of myself, I really want to thank the community as a whole for all the support that you have given to us as the Mountain Ember Team board. Your comments, your requests, your criticisms, everything have been really appreciated. It makes us as a group grow stronger and better because we don't always see what other people see. We all have our own set of eyes, so it's really good. I want to thank Dennis Clegg for his tenure as president, for all the work he has done. Done great work, and again with the CAL FIRE grant, awesome. Linda Murphy, you keeper of documents and papers and keeping me on guard to be sure I get you everything, which I still owe you some paperwork. David Dellinger, the master of money. It's great. And again, David hounds me every time I spend money. Within 33 seconds, I have an email. Where's my receipt? Jenny Van Setters, who put all this slide presentation together. This is just awesome. And there's not a value that we can put to the amount of time that she has put into it. And it's all been donated time. So she's stellar in doing that. Lane, thank you so much for taking care of the brush chipping and organizing the volunteers for doing that. Carla, thank you for your input with talking about the fuels and the fuel mitigation, what we could and can't do, and stuff like that. That's very important information for us to have. Al, one of the elders of the board, has always been one to speak his mind, and if it's not going the way he thinks it is, he will definitely let you know. And Fraser, the new director, has come to the table with a lot of history. He's been on other boards, and I always am receptive to his comments, and I look forward to him stepping up in the board thing. And if there's no other questions, I just really want to thank every single one of you for being here. And if you're not here on Thursday and you watch us on YouTube or off the website, thank you so much for clicking in. And hopefully we will continue to be the force that we are, and we can only do it with your help.
Ina has a question.
Well, and thank you. Yeah, Ina has a question, and then I wanted to say something too. Go ahead, Ina.
I heard you say something about evacuation and people being able to get out of here if there's a fire. I was wondering if there's any plan to talk to, did I miss something, or is there a plan to talk to anybody official about getting the professional firefighters to work together so that we don't end up going in one direction and then being turned back?
We did talk, I touched on that briefly, that we're going to try and get because it's not the fire agency that's going to tell us, it's going to be the police agency. So we're trying to get either Santa Barbara Sheriff or the CHP to come up and do a community meeting with us to explain how that process works. Again, the evacuation plan is not a plan. The evacuation, it's a guide to prepare people in the event of an evacuation. But when you go to the top of your road, there's going to be a sheriff or a CHP that's going to tell you which way you're going to go, and the same as Panda Cave. If not, it'll be a fire agency. But as far as I know, and Phil, you can correct me, but I think it's the local law enforcement is the one who does the directing of the evacuation plan.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. As far as county fire, that's a whole nother issue, and you have to remember they don't really want us to be here when there's a big fire. So it's kind of a delicate balance there. We can often work with the ground, the line troops that come in here with the vehicles, but officially we cannot form any kind of a relationship with county fire about what our firefighting forces are going to do during a fire.
What about getting them to talk to each other so that if the guy at the top of my road tells me to go up, there won't be somebody else up there telling me to turn back?
Well, good luck with that. I was fought fires in the Forest Service 40 years ago, and coordination was horrible then, and it's better now. But the bottom line is, you get a big fire, you're going to have people from different agencies in here, and they're going to be making a lot of their decisions, as at an individual level. They're not going to run everything through this, division boss or sector boss, because that would clog up the lines. So sometimes you're going to get people doing contradictory things. Is
your experience that they don't talk to each other?
That was part of the problem back then. Now they're supposed to be talking to each other, but communication systems are imperfect. I mean, you wind up with people on different radio frequencies. And that's particularly true like the first 24 hours of a fire. Initial attack, I mean, everybody's scrambling just to get there and deploy to fight the fire or protect a house or something. And coordinate, it takes a while to set up the coordination, get everyone on the same frequencies and everything. Believe me, from listening to radio traffic, it's vastly better than it's used to be. I mean, we used to, Plus, not all the agency liked each other in the old days. Now there's, there's a lot of cooperation, but it's not perfect down at the lower levels.
Thank you.
Ina, an example of that is during the cave fire. I forget which resident was. They went out of the community and they were told to go out East Municialo. They got to East Municialo and the sheriff was there, said, no, you got to turn around and go down Painted Cave Road. So yeah, there has to be some sort of communication thing. And we'll get together with that with the sheriff and maybe we can talk to county fire and maybe have all three of them come up and give us a little presentation. But good question. Very good question. Dennis Clegg.
Yeah, great meeting. And I just wanted to thank you, Nick, for leading us in the past year. It's been a tough year with all the COVID complications. And despite that, the Mountain Ember team is moving forward and we've made great progress and we have great goals for the next year. So thank you, Nick.
Well, I could not have done it without you other 8 people. And there's a couple out there who know who they basically carried me. And I appreciate that very, very much. So unless there's any more comments, Jenny, do you have anything else to say?
No, I just appreciate this group and everything that everybody has done to improve our community safety and look forward to our 3-year plan and all the work that lies ahead of us. There's a lot of work to do ahead of us, but I know we're up for the challenge, so I'm excited for it.
Thank you. Linda, do you have anything to say? I take that as a no. Okay, Fraser, do you have anything to say?
Nope, you guys did great on this presentation, so thank you for that.
Hi, baby.
It's a future firefighter.
Thanks, Fraser. Yes. Carla, you're up.
I wanted to thank Linda for her service and her excellent, wise communications and secretarial work that she did for us. And we're sorry to see her go, but wish her well in her pseudo retirement. And then thank you to Nick for serving as president and guiding us through these meetings, and to Jenny for all her work keeping us together and on track, and David for his excellent reports, and Dennis for backing everything up here and getting that CAL FIRE grant. Good job. Anyway, thank you all.
Thank you. Lane, anything from you?
I guess I just echo the same thing. I want to thank everyone. It's been a pleasure working together, and I plan to continue. I want to thank people who are watching this and people who are visiting, members from the community, for taking an interest, and please participate. We can't do this just as a group of 8 people here, and it's a small community. So please continue to participate, also by voting for our board of directors if you haven't already. Yeah, so thanks everyone.
Mr. Al. Unmute yourself,
Muted
sir.
it.
Al, we can't
Okay, I
hear
think
you.
I got it. Can you
There
hear
you
me
go.
yet?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see anything, but you can hear me. Yeah, it's been a challenging year and we have done more than maybe we could have even hoped for. And we have identified, I'm really proud of the fact that the group of the board especially was willing to understand that we had to engage in professional help to get us going in a right direction so that we could not only do our work as we have been doing it, that's been working just fine, as this meeting testifies to, that we can do even more and actually put ourselves hopefully in a position to qualify for these bigger grants that are coming along. And I'm quite sure that what Barbara is going to bring us is something that if we take it seriously, lean on it hard, and we will be able to grow dramatically beyond what we've done so far. And thank you to everybody for your hard work.
Thanks, Al. David, any last words?
Well, just I would echo what Carla and Lane and Al and you have said about thanking everybody. And especially just to say again, all the people that volunteered for chipping and road clearing and everything, pile burning, and all the people who gave us money. Thanks to everybody.
Mr. Seymour.
Well, I hope we have another good year. But it's really encouraging to see the people who are participating and, coming out and acting as a community. I like the fact that we're sort of self-reliant in that way, but, looking to the future, we can get some outside help. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, I thank you all. Oncom, I don't know who you are. If you have anything to say, now's your time to say it. All right. Well, thank you very much for your hour and 7 minutes. We tried to get to an hour, but that's okay. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening, and let's have a safe year. Thank you, board members, very, very much for your time and your volunteer hours.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.